Welcome everyone to this week's class on the Siddhi ParaDharma. Focus on yourself, on being happy, having a simple life. And I will get this closer. Hopefully it helps for the sound. Paying attention in the body, relaxing it, putting your mind on a class of Siddhi meditation. ParaDharma, P-A-R-A, and Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A, ParaDharma. That's the usual 1 minute and something I use to make you relax before the translators are done setting up on their side. ParaDharma is a class of the highest Dharma, or the highest wisdom. Okay. It's a transcendental one. We are convinced that we know what we know. There is stuff we know that we do know. Okay. I do not like the expression, the more I know, or the more I learn, the more I know nothing. I really don't like this expression because it is dramatic and inaccurate. We could say, the more we learn, the more we know there is more to learn. That's positive. But this poetry of the more I know nothing, that's not true. You know how to cook your breakfast. You can't proclaim to know nothing. You know how to drive your car if you have one. You know how to do your job. Okay? So just the idea of saying I know nothing is negative. It's condescending against yourself. But we humans, we do this to dramatize. We say something inaccurate. What is accurate is the more we learn, the more our mind is opened to every other possibilities that we could also learn. Okay? So it's important to have a positive attitude in the practice of this Dharma, to not go pessimistic or condescending on yourself. Oh, I know nothing. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. It's not productive, okay? So the more I know, the more I learn, the more I discover the possibilities to learn more, okay? So a positive attitude of open-mindedness. And this is humble because it still proclaims that there's a lot you don't know and that you're open to discover it. Okay? That's going to be the attitude. Next part of this teaching. There are many different layers to us and to nature. In Mahayana Buddhism, we call it the 10 planes of consciousness. The human is composed of a physical mass, an energy agglomeration in that mass, an emotional aspect, and the mental aspect. We call that the mental, emotional, vital, and physical planes. Okay? Planes 7 to 10. And above the mental plane, there's wisdom. So the mental plane has understanding, intellect, creativity, stuff of the mind. But there's something higher than the human intellect. It is Dharma, or wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is don't put tomato in a fruit salad. Okay? It's about the experience of it and not the understanding of it. Knowledge, when you look at the oven and the iron is red, knowledge is to know that this iron is hot. Wisdom is don't put your hand on it. Okay? It's not about the intellect of it, it's about the experience that you have. Okay? So this is wisdom compared to knowledge. Okay? And wisdom is based on refined feelings. Okay? After we have digested an experience, we gain wisdom. And that's why emotional integration works. That's why any personal growth works. We observe an experience we had. We feel the emotion. We digest it. We intellectually understanding the mechanics of the karma, the causality. And then we go, now I understand why when I did this, that happened as a consequence. My behavior as an ego. When I lied, people found out and they were not happy. Now I understand the suffering that brings lying. Okay. So, and this is a feeling. When you understand a life lesson, you have an emotional experience like, I feel it. And that is wisdom. It transcends simple intellectual deduction. It is a feeling of wisdom. Okay? So it's higher than an emotion, but it's still felt as much as understood. Okay? So in higher planes, higher than the intellect, there's knowledge that is not based on simple comprehension. It's based on feelings, higher feelings, and stuff that transcends the human, I will say. Okay? Any understanding is complete once it has reached the earth or the physical plane. When the phenomena is physically manifest, observed, and we understand the correlation of the phenomena, then it is a complete set of wisdom. Meaning, you throw a rock in a pond, you see the water makes ripple, all the understanding of mechanics of fluids can be deducted there. I mean, a lot of it. Okay? So there's an understanding that is not just knowing it. It is understanding. So now we must make a difference. We must explain the difference between knowing and understanding. Knowing is sterile, and understanding is alive. Knowing is you just practice your mathematics. 2 times 2 equals 4. 3 times 3 equals 9. You just practice it until you know. You look at a recipe on how to make a bread, okay? And you remember the recipe. Now you know it. But understanding is all the dynamics between these components. Hey, Raymond. Understanding is essential to actual evolution. Knowing, like, I want to learn more stuff because I want to know it. Sometimes what you mean is, I want to understand it. But we say knowing out of reflex, okay? Knowing is alive. Knowing evolves. No, I'm sorry. Understanding is alive. Even I just messed it up right there. Just we're so used to say the word knowing when we're talking about the word understanding. Okay. I think we get the proper use of these words during a fight with someone. Okay. I know what happened. I just want to understand. Okay. And we're dramatic. So we do the distinction that knowing something happened still does not make us understand it. The karma and the dharma behind the event. That's understanding. Okay. It's still on the intellectual plane at a certain level, but understanding is a bridge between the intellect and the wisdom, between the knowledge and the wisdom. Understanding takes your knowledge and adds that feeling layer. It's a process where you bring it to wisdom. That is understanding. Okay? So we got knowledge, we got understanding, and we got wisdom. The three of them together brings you awakening. Knowledge on its own is sterile. It's not dead, but it's not productive. You know a wall is a wall. You know if it's straight because you look at it and you know it's straight. But do you understand why it's straight? What's its purpose? Is this wall insulating you from the outside? Or is this wall supporting the rest of the house above you? Is it a support wall? What's its function? How is it made inside? You know, understanding transcends knowledge. Okay? But all three are important. Knowledge, understanding, wisdom. All three are essential. Good. Now it's time to contradict all that. Once you understood this class so far, let's study ParaDharma. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge exist in a form beyond the human. How can I explain this? Let's say there were humans before the universe was created, which is impossible. But let's say that we existed as humans, scientists and intellectuals, before the universe was created. And it was our job to create it. As humans right now, would we be able to create the universe? Would we have the intellectual ability to manifest the universe the way it was manifested? And the answer is no. And that's because as humans right now, we keep observing the universe. And we know some and we ignore some. It's a mystery. There's so much stuff that we can't yet understand. Because the knowledge that the universe holds, it's far greater than the knowledge that a human holds. The universe was able to manifest itself with no one before present to explain it. Hey, you do this like that. This is how you make an atom. This is how bees flies, and this is, how black holes manifest. There's so much that transcends human understanding. Okay. ParaDharma, the Siddhi. Para means high or higher, and Dharma. And we must not fall in a trap of thinking, oh, I have higher Dharma. ParaDharma means by itself Dharma that is currently beyond us. And it can only be practiced in a state of humility of the more I know, the more there are mysteries yet to reveal. And I'm available to that. Okay? So it cannot be practiced with this spiritual master pride. Okay, I have transcending wisdom. I have great wisdom. Well, I mean, maybe you have great wisdom if you compare to other humans. But if I compared to other humans, I never would have kept progressing. I would have said, I've got stuff that, other great masters have, but most humans don't. So, I mean, I'm on the top of my pyramid. Let me sit on my comfortable chair and eat my candy while everyone is still dabbling in the world of illusion. I would have been a prick, okay? An arrogant bastard. Because some masters are like that. They have wisdom that their students don't have, but they compare themselves to who is just learning, which is where they were 20 years before. We all went through the learning process. So it's important to compare yourself to the universe, how greater the universe is, and how much left is available to us. And it doesn't matter if you know something that another human doesn't. Okay? So that's the attitude of ParaDharma. Thinking that the highest wisdom is something you learned in the weekend because you paid your $500 or your 500 euros to a seminar where they explain the mantra. Yes, it is nice wisdom, but that is not ParaDharma. This is something one human being can explain to another human being. It's Dharma. Okay? When you come to my seminars, what I tell you and what you understand, that's Dharma. That's not ParaDharma. That's Dharma. And then I explain you stuff that opens you to new reality. And you start to grasp stuff from the universe that is not what I explained. It's you applying the Dharma start to realize much more things. That is ParaDharma. So even if what I teach is super freaky sometimes, it is Dharma. It is limited to what I can transmit. ParaDharma is beyond that. So even for myself, ParaDharma is the wisdom from beyond. Okay? And it's not something that you can pretend to have, even if you do, actually. Because if you can transmit it, it can be very good wisdom. It can be very high wisdom compared to, the wisdom of war or the wisdom of cooking cake. But it's not the ParaDharma, which is the Dharma that transcends the intellect. Okay? So ParaDharma opens you to the wisdom that the universe has in its magnificence, and that it can explain to you stuff through revelations. The kind of revelations that even a great explanation from a good spiritual master will not get you. Now, a good spiritual master teaches Dharma so that you can have a correct state of mind, a correct practice so that these revelations happen. And that's why sometimes people say, you taught me things I could never imagine. Well, when you learn with me, the biggest wow moments that you got, like, wow, that was transcendental, that was like so magnificent. The wow thing is something you got yourself. What I taught you was a practice, and it's the fact that you're doing the practice that gets you the higher revelation. Do you understand that? So a teacher and a master teaches Dharma, and ParaDharma is higher than that. It's an intellectual understanding that comes from information higher than the intellectual planes, or even higher than Dharma. It is the other planes of karma, of individuality, of entity, nature, and the creator, phenomena. It's Dharma from the higher planes. And then you grasp it. And this, when you do a understanding where knowledge becomes wisdom, you have a feeling. Well, the feelings we get in higher revelation they're so much more extraordinary. Even if they're not explosive or spectacular, some of them are. Like when you feel Vishnu for the first time, you know you are all of the universe. You come back and you want to do an ego trip of how great you are because you felt Vishnu, which is all things. And then as a human, you want to keep feeling all things, So you say, I'm the only Lord of this world, the savior of the humanity. Because you have a temporary feeling of grandeur. Well, feeling Vishnu makes you one with all things. It's absolutely fantastic. This is ParaDharma. This is beyond what the human can explain to another human. Okay. So now we practice for a moment ParaDharma. ParaDharma. Just be available that there are things that the human cannot explain with its current tools. And the universe will show you if you admit that you don't have it yet. But don't say that you know nothing. You'll manifest becoming ignorant. Just be available. Hey, what else can I learn from this great universe? ParaDharma. Thank you, Raven, for writing it. It's completely correctly written. ParaDharma. ParaDharma. You're not going to get revelations in the first practice. In the first few seances, what you're going to feel is also magnificent. What you're going to feel is that you're being connected to the rest of the universe, to the possibility of understanding something greater. ParaDharma. So you practice ParaDharma, and whenever you practice ParaDharma, there's always a subject in your mind. Okay? So you're practicing ParaDharma for the sake of ParaDharma. And the subject is being connected, being available to more. And that's how to appropriately practice ParaDharma for a long time. Just for the sake of being available to more knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that will come in various ways. Through manifestation, through events, through revelation, deduction, comprehension, intuition, so many ways. It will use every possibility to just bring you a bit more. But it will also, it's not knowledge that comes, it's Dharma. So there's process of knowledge, but there's Dharma as the objective of ParaDharma. So you'll accept more how the universe is. You'll know that there's something that is just more complicated or more simple that your human mind has not yet grasped, but it's coming. Okay? ParaDharma opens you to the whole. Take a deep breath and come back. All right. Then you look at society, for example, and you say, I don't know why they're doing this, but what you mean is, I don't understand why they're doing this, okay? I don't understand why they're acting like this in this situation. Once you're well connected, you could practice ParaDharma with society in mind. If you have emotions regarding society, like why is there conflict, violence, war, famine, COVID, pandemic, whatever is your problem, but why are they doing this? If you have too much reactions, you're just going to block it off. If you practice ParaDharma for a while with ParaDharma in mind, ParaDharma just to be connected to everything higher, then ParaDharma is your subject, but you can then practice ParaDharma with society. ParaDharma. So you don't say the word society. I mean, yeah, you can say it. I've said it when I did it out of reflex. But you keep society in mind with no specific topic, with nothing. It's just ParaDharma. Society. ParaDharma. That's after you've practiced letting go of what you know and being available to more. Too often we say, I don't understand why they're doing this, but your attitude is, I must convince them to understand me and start behaving like I do. That's usually the attitude. When you say, I don't understand, your inner state is, I must change you to me, to my state. That's usually the arrogance we have with other humans. So if you have this attitude, it's ego, it's not going to work. ParaDharma society, just become open to more. And then you'll see streams of consciousness and maybe understand everyone has a different experience. They were all brought up and educated differently. Everyone has different values because their mind is made of different experiences. And you'll start to see the flows in society of these movements and the greater understanding. But why is this conflict? If you say, why is there conflict? But inside is, I must convince everyone to become like me, then it's not going to work. But if you have a genuine question, why is there conflict? ParaDharma. Social conflicts. ParaDharma. Of course, you're going to start being invaded by the various waves of suffering in society. Just samples of the source of the conflict. And you're going to start to understand each different party more by feeling what is the feeling that motivates them. One is a fear of corruption. One is a fear of capitalism. One is a fear of catching a sickness. One is a fear of poverty. One has a fear of, everyone has their reaction. You'll feel it. You'll understand. For real, understand if your attitude is a genuine interrogation. I would like to understand. But if your attitude is to want to convince the world that you're right, you're not going to get any ParaDharma, even from the universe. You understand that? All right. So, for a while, maybe I could do a formula here that is not accurate, but practice ParaDharma accumulated few hours before you do 15 minutes of a topic. Give yourself a chance, multiple repetition of ParaDharma, because before you want knowledge about physics, if you're thinking about physics, before you have knowledge about society, or conflicts, or war, before you have knowledge about human behavior, you should open yourself to the universe as it is. Just, okay, there are mysteries there that maybe could be useful for me to understand everything if I understood the few basic truths of the universe. So, ParaDharma. Just give me the basics of what I need to understand everything else. Baby step me. Please. Vishnu. Explain yourself to me. Shiva. Actually, ParaDharma is a Siddhi of the goddess Saraswati. Just saying. For those who understand Hinduism, okay? So, explain yourself to me. All of it, like the universe. Just whatever you feel is best for me to know, just bring it. ParaDharma. And it will change you inside, slowly but surely. And it might bring you knowledge you never would have contemplated because you did not know it was something you were missing. Just be available to more. All right, take a deep breath. Relax and come back here. Where physicalize yourself, incarnate. We're gonna have the inflatable neighbor allegory. The inflatable neighbor, le voisin gonflable. I don't know in Spanish. El vecino infladable, something like that. Inflable. Okay. Like you have your bicycle pump and you have to be bigger than your neighbor. Okay. So we have neighbor A, B, and C. Andrew, Bobby, and Charlie. Okay. So Andrew gets a lawnmower. It's a great lawnmower. It's a 5,000 plus series super lawnmower. And he's proud. He's going with his lawnmower. Neighbor B sees that. He looks at his lawnmower. It's cheap. It's not, well oiled. I think I'm going to get a new lawnmower. And he gets a 5,500 X2 plus. Just a bit bigger than Andrew. Okay? It's like, and he goes out at the same time as his neighbor, hoping that Andrew will see his new lawnmowers just a bit bigger, just got bigger than you. And Andrew, has this lawnmower. Charlie doesn't need a lawnmower, but he needs a tool to cut his trees. So he's gonna get this superb tree trimmer, like a trimmer to make all the leaves look round, all the bushes look beautiful and well shaped. And Andrew sees that, they're all, they take a beer on Friday, so they talk about it. So Andrew will have to go and get a trimmer, and that is the inflatable neighbor. You just need to get a bit more than the other. Why do we do that? It starts as a need to survive. We don't know, let's say we're animals. We don't have, universities and college. We just are animals in nature, in the jungle. Do we have enough to survive? Enough meat and fruit, enough clothing, enough shelter? Do we have enough to survive? Will I survive? And will the tribe survive? So we look at another animal and we see how much resource they have. And we think, okay, if he survives with this amount of resource, if I have a bit more, I'll survive too. It's just I need to survive. Once we have hyperabundance, we think we're poor, but we have walls that protects us from minus 30 degrees Celsius, which is almost what's going on today here. We've got clothing to be comfortable at home. We've got, this beautiful blue wall that I chose to paint myself because I had the luxury to have all that. We have so much, but the instinct is, if I have a bit more, I'm going to survive. Okay? And then it's like, yeah, I'm better than you. Okay? So it is shifted into greed and pretension. We become pretentious. Okay? Why did I speak of the inflatable neighbor that comes from the genetic need to survive and have more? what the religious people will call envy, the sin of envy. Okay, wanting what the other has, more or less, it's more wanting a bit more than what the other has. And one way to have this is to take it from him. Okay. So why do I teach this? We are like that with our knowledge. When you need to be right and you need the other to be wrong. And we will protect what we know, but I understand this or that phenomena. I understand the mechanics of this machine more than you do, okay? Even if we are wrong and the other is right. We will protect what we know because we need to feel we have more knowledge and understanding than the other. Okay? And what it does, it cuts us from higher understanding. Because if the other, there was this guy arguing about how a plane works in the mechanics inside. He was arguing, and the guy he was arguing with, and they were saying different opinions about, aerodynamics, whatever. And the guy he was arguing with, he said, okay, I'm a pilot. It is my job to profoundly understand how this plane works, okay? And the other guy who was, he was a smart guy, but he was like in complex building stuff. He was not into planes, okay? He was in building like the advanced architecture, okay? So because he understand advanced stuff, he needed to know how a plane works more than a pilot that his life depends on him, And then a third party realized that the pilot is right and this super intelligent architect is full of shit. He's stuck in the mechanics of buildings and not into aerodynamics. That was a story that I was exposed to, and I like it as an example. If we need to be right about what we know now, we will never realize what more could we learn. Because we have this reflex to protect out of survival, but also out of pride. I need to be better than you. My idea is better than yours. I was brainstorming in marketing with people, and I had a somewhat good idea, and I thought it was awesome because I had it. But I heard someone else have a better idea, and I realized it because I think I'm smart. So I'm smart enough to know what the other said right now is better than my idea. But for a minute, I protected my idea out of pride. I needed to show that my strategy was better, and everyone looked like, dude, do you even like? And then I had to then, wait, I'm just trying to say that I'm right. But truth is, what this guy just said is actually lower budget, higher reach. It's gonna work better, Sometimes we just don't want to admit, or we're so convinced that we're stuck in our own view. Okay. So this attitude, guess who is the person, thing, or entity we do it most? With the universe. We are convinced to be right more than the universe itself. If you take a moment to look inside, your attitude regarding what you believe life is, how you think society should work, what you think the world is made of, what is the source of my own problems and the problems of others, we are convinced that we know more than the universe itself about all the conditions we have learned something about. Okay? And that is why I spoke of the inflatable neighbor and the need to know more, to have more, to be more. The reality or the entity we deny most is actually the universal wisdom that is absolutely, obviously, more knowledgeable than us on absolutely every topic. Okay? So I encourage you to practice humility, saying there's a lot of things I know, and if I know something and I think what the other's saying is bullshit, I'll stick to what I know. But when I do ParaDharma, I have to face this insecurity. It's possible that something I know now, something I understand, is wrong and actually playing against me right now. And I have no idea what. Because the unknown is frightening. And what I know is currently bringing me a level of security. And I can't even know what I ignore right now, or what position I'm wrong. And you know, oftentimes it's not that I'm wrong. And this is what I've done with ParaDharma since yesterday morning. I've been practicing intensely because I give the class now. Sometimes I do a few days of a Siddhi. Sometimes I just go full intense on the day before, because it's stuff I've done, in the past. ParaDharma showed me that there's something I know and it's somewhat right. It's just a little angle here, And it was about, I forgot what. It was about human behavior. So the ParaDharma didn't show I'm wrong here. It just says, hey, now that you know this, it can be more accurate or better if you change your position. And shit, I forgot what. But anyway, it's one of those that hopefully when you have it. So ParaDharma will not show you that you're ignorant. It will show you how to get better. But never in any case can you take the position, now I know better than others. No, that will cut you off. You can say, now I know better. Better, more than me before. But the defensive structure, like, more wisdom, I am more safe face to the unknown. Nope, doesn't work that way. There's still more to come. ParaDharma is one of those hard to keep the proper attitude, but it's okay. The amount of arrogance you have cuts you off from a part, and the amount of humility you have opens you from a part. It's not binary 0 or 1, yes or no. It's a gradient. The part of you that is fighting and closed will keep you closed. The part of you that is open and available will inspire you, will make you transcend into the higher wisdom. Okay. And when you practice something super intense, and you think, I have higher wisdom, if it's something you can explain to another human, it is wisdom. It is wisdom higher than you had before. It is higher than what other human seems to have. It is not ParaDharma. ParaDharma is the higher wisdom. It transcends what you have as a human. You can have ParaDharma. It's the stuff that doesn't go through the words, because the other requires the experience or the revelation to have it. You can't transmit that. It's what a soul seeks. It is what a single individual can experience through its own evolution. You can't give evolution to someone else. It's you. ParaDharma is the stuff that we each get on our own. So I have ParaDharma. But if I give a class and I say, I just taught you ParaDharma, maybe I can teach you how to get it, which is one of the Siddhis I just did now. Okay. I always teach you ParaDharma in that sense that I'm teaching you Dharma for you to get your own experience. But it will come through practice and personal growth. That was a cool class. ParaDharma. Just be open to more and stop defending yourself with what you know. Use what you know as tools to build. Don't use it as ways to justify what you don't know. Just be open and take time to discover more. Global perspective came to me through the revelations of ParaDharma. I was not using that Siddhi at the time, but it's the Siddhi that I use now in my tradition to teach. These higher revelation got me to global perspective. That's how I got it. The reason why there's conflicts is that everyone has their own potential, their own fear. Everyone is educated differently. And I can have compassion for all parties in social conflicts because I have forgiven them and myself the fact that we're different. We just have different traumas and different blessings, different things we enjoy, different things we hate. We were educated differently, and even telling, but they should go to school and know better. That is arrogant. It's still, I'm better, I must change them to become me. Understanding all different parties in a conflict is the first step in bringing compromise, forgiveness, understanding, and resolution to all parties. And one of those was compromise, if you understand what I just said. Hey, that was a fantastic class. I loved it. See you next week for another wonderful Siddhi. Peace.